Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time, On Target morning brief. Today is a Friday, September 11th, big day in our nation's history. I'm sure all of you remember exactly where you were when the planes started hitting the towers. And obviously, that changed a lot of things of how we did business here in the United States. So, good day to reflect on all of that. As far as our investing, again, we're going to invest in military precision today. If you are catching this on replay, thank you so much for checking us out. If you would like to come in on a trial, it's steve@ototnow.com, and I can hook you up free for a week. But basically, a bunch of us get together in the morning. We're looking at long-term investments as well as some short-term day trading stuff, putting some bright minds together to make some money. All right. The rest of it is a fighter pilot brief, so let's get started. Mission objectives today are going to be grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Our tactical objectives, specifically, we're going to look at fitness stocks. Peloton released earnings last night and crushed it by like 170-some%. So obviously, when you think of investable themes, is fitness something going forward that's going to be important? Yes, of course. So how do you capitalize on that? I will talk through a few of the options today as far as individual stocks, as well as an ETF, an index fund that specializes in this. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Some of them make money. Some of them have been left for dead. They are not my favorites due to margin, but certainly a valid investment thesis to take a look at. All right. Question today is going to be, what is a blank check company, which is also what is a special acquisition company. Obviously, Virgin Galactic, DraftKings, Nikola, all of those have come around lately on the special acquisition, and there's a couple more that are getting ready to get released. We, of course, think Topgolf is one of those. So that's why we were invested in CCX. But we'll get more into that a little bit later. As far as the flow today, we're going to talk long, short, open, short, long, which means we're going to start with the long-term investing stuff. We're going to go around the world, take a look at the highlights of how the markets around the world are doing, come back to the U.S., look at our headlines this morning, and then we're going to talk about setting up for today. As for once we get within 10 minutes of the open, we'll put our day trading hats on. And speaking of hats, got a lot of compliments on the hat yesterday, so thank you so much. We're going to put our day trading hats on, and then we're going to look for short opportunities if we can find them, if not long opportunities. And today is a little tough on the short side with the market in the green, so we'll see what we can find. Again, looking for companies for our gap and go strategy, looking for companies that have either gapped up or down 5 to 10%, and then we take them in that same direction. If you have any questions, there's plenty of resources available at otot.now.com. Once we're done with that, we'll resolve the day trades. Yesterday was about 3 minutes. When we hit our 3-hour point, we were out of Nikola. Interesting, Nikola is back in the news this morning as a short as well from a short report that came out against them. So we'll take a look at those folks in a little bit. Once we're done with the market open and day trading stuff, we'll talk some long-term investing. We'll close out the chat and the Q&A, and then we'll get to the question of the day. For contingencies, if you have any issues, contact me at steve@otot.now.com. I have staff standing by to help you resolve those issues. And then lastly, as our disclaimer, this is a educational presentation, so you must do your own due diligence before you act on anything you hear in this presentation. All right, let's take a look at where we are this morning through the lens of where we've been for the past year. So what you're seeing here is a TD Ameritrade platform. Think Pipes, the view of the S&P 500. So this is a one-year look. You see the years marked by these red lines. Basically, you had the big run-up in February, the big dip, V-shaped recovery all the way until the highs a few days ago, a week ago. Then we had a 10% move down, at least in tech stocks, we had 10% move down. And then a good day, then yesterday was a bad day, and then today setting up was a good day. So I'd be surprised if we just are kind of stuck in this range of a smaller range here. I think the bigger issue for me, as long as we hold 300 going into the election, I think that will be a very healthy sign for the market, because it's somewhere along the line. The market's going to price in whoever they think the victor is, and then we'll go from there. Again, if it's a Democrat, obviously the biggest issue would be the tax reform, followed by some other smaller issues, if you will. All right, let's zoom in a little bit and take a look at the past 5 days. So again, 3 down days in a row here. We did have our up day, which is pretty much a straight up. Showed weakness going into the close of this was Wednesday. And then yesterday was pretty much, let's just roll over and call it a day. Maybe call it a week. I don't know. If today's down, then it'll be, you can see we were up higher earlier, and it's been kind of a negative flow on into today. So kind of a negative overtone as we go into this Friday. As far as earnings, we talked about Peloton last night, crushing earnings. They had some other companies out this morning. Oracle beat earnings, Zumiez beat earnings. So there are some names out there that are doing good work. Let's say it must have been last night. I don't see them on our list here, but overall pretty good news still coming out of earnings. Again, these were all the earnings that were reset back in April after COVID hit. So, all right, let's go ahead and switch now to CNBC. We'll take a look around the world at the different markets that are out there. Obviously, there's a ceremony going on right now in New York City as far as 9/11. So good memorial stuff all day long, I would imagine. Here's our futures. You can see they were up almost 1% earlier. So kind of fading a bit here. Tech holding up strongly, though. Again, tech has been kind of operating differently than the rest of the market. So it's nice to see things kind of at least traveling together, if you will. Over in Asia last night, again, pretty much green across the board. That is a good sign. Mixed over in Europe, and again, not a lot of movement over in Europe there, so pretty flat. As far as these were our numbers from yesterday, almost a 2% move down in the NASDAQ. So if you think track just the NASDAQ, 3 days it moved down 10%, moved up 4% on the big up day, now back 2%. Do all the math, that nets out to 8% down. So we'll see how today goes. One thing I'm keeping my eye on right now is volatility going into the election. So sitting at a 28 right now. Obviously, if today's green, that will get lower. As far as bonds, I went back below kind of the 0.7% mark, which I like to see hold, but not a huge change. Oil, no good news in the oil market. Again, sold out of some Exxon yesterday. I think I'll blow out the rest of it today. It is just a house of pain, if you will, as far as trying to make any money in the energy market. So, all right, look over into gold. So this was kind of interesting. So yesterday you had the market was down all day, and guess what else was down? Precious metals were down. So when you see that kind of move, that means people are just selling pretty much across the board. So, all right, let's go back to the main screen, and we'll go through the headlines. You see an ad here. I see the phones. Makes me think Tuesday is the Apple Developers Day, where they're going to announce the new iPad, the new iPhone 12. All of that stuff's going to get announced with the prices and the new features. A lot of hype going into those. So about Apple stock. Obviously, it ran up into the split because everybody got excited. Then after the split, it ran up again as everybody went, "Hey, look, Apple's cheaper." Not really, right? It just looks cheaper. But again, it's struggling. I think it'll maintain the 110 level, but it's certainly nowhere near that 125 level that it was hanging out at earlier. It was kind of overpriced there for a while, so it'll probably trade sideways. I'd imagine we might get a little bit of a pop on the news next week, and then you go into the waiting for the holiday numbers, which tends to lead to a sell-off, and then it's on into January when you get those, what do the Christmas numbers look like, is when you see the stock start to run again. So don't get too excited about your Apple holding, just let it sit there. All right, there's Peloton crushing sales by 172%. What's that done to the stock? It's gone up 11% this morning. Kind of crazy. We will take a look at it on FinViz. They are not profitable. So they are growing enough to where it just seems like they're just spending money just trying to grow. So, and we'll take a look at some other names as well. All right. Already talked about the terrorist attacks. Yeah, the stimulus bill isn't getting many headlines anymore, so I think something will happen eventually, but it'll probably be targeted and not nearly the size of what we're looking at earlier in the year. We shall see, though. It's not going to move the markets anymore. The market literally does not care what the Congress does or doesn't decide on going into the election. You'll hear both people say that the gloom and doom folks out there will tell you this is the beginning of the W-shaped recovery and we're going to retest the March 23rd lows. That is a broken record from the gloom and doom folks. The other broken record out there is everything is normal. If you picture the dog sitting in front of the house that's on fire saying this is fine, that's kind of the bull market is alive and well. I don't know. I think the election is going to cause us to either correct again or even all the way into a bear market. I kind of hope I'm wrong, but because that means everything will scream higher. But I think you have to be prudent going into the election. I think you are being taken on extra risk if you're trying to make a lot of money. Right now, it's the picking up pennies in front of the steamroller. It's like, look how much we've made since March. Let's not be all kinds of greedy by staying at the party too long after midnight. So let's call it a night and maybe get back out there and take some more risk on in December once we have a better idea of what not only the presidency looks like, but the Congresses and potential tax reform. All that will be in the news then. We'll be beating that dead horse till the end of the year, especially if the Democrats are elected. And we'll see how we reprice things in the market from there. Obviously, you saw the Woodward book. It dominated the news yesterday on what Trump did or didn't think or what he did or didn't say back in the day. I don't know that I personally don't necessarily trust Mr. Woodward. I've read several of his books. Obviously, that was part of my military academic portion of the military career. I don't know. I don't know if that's fair reporting or not. I think he might be losing his edge. That's an opinion. All right. Oracle beat earnings are up 7%. That's one we'll take a look at. Chewy, again, this is the dog food company, beat earnings. And then somebody else beat earnings. Zumiez this morning. We'll take a look at their stock. All right, Domino's Pizza got an upgrade. Again, expecting good things out of Domino's Pizza. Again, very high margin business to be in. Did great right after the back in the day. I have a few shares of it. Not overly excited about Domino's Pizza, but certainly a great printing money business model. And if we all are staying home more, then we're going to see companies that like that continue to do well. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our specific topic of the day, which again is fitness stocks. The investable thesis is that health and wellness are going to be only be more important going forward. I do believe that. I often say once you're financially independent, which many of you in this thread are, all the only things that matter in life are health and wealth. That's it. Now you can take wealth off into spiritual where, there's ways you can look at wealth, but fitness being a part of that. But literally, once you have all the money you need to make it to the finish line, that health and wealth are the topics of the day. So with that, we spend a lot of money on trying to keep ourselves fit. No magic answers. You still got to put in the work. But as far as one of the major companies that benefited from the COVID-19 situation is Peloton. People can't get out, people can't spend money, and they're supposed to work out from home. So therefore, they're going to buy, spare no expense as far as buying your the fanciest treadmill alive, right? And exercise bike and all these Peloton machines. Look at where the stock was. So it was trucking in here at the beginning of the year at 32 or so. That 30 to 35 range, it's kind of hanging out. And then it took a little dip, of course, when everybody just sold everything under the sun. And then look at the straight line up from there. It's even starting to exceed its upper bound, if you will, of this channel. So pretty, and it had to move down yesterday. You see that 4%, but it's already retraced that. And I think it's close to 100, not quite to 100 though. So pretty much a straight move up. Can it sustain that? I would say no. You have no dividend down here. Not that that's tremendously important, but it's nice to have something coming back. And then no earnings. So therefore, if you don't have any earnings, you don't have any PE or earnings per share, any of that sort of stuff. Well, you do have earnings per share. It's just negative. So for every share that's out there, 280 million, they're losing $2.11 per share. That's a lot of money, kids. But stock's been on fire because a lot of times these things have a cult following. I would say Peloton's kind of a cult following like Tesla. If you can afford a Peloton, you probably can afford to buy a bunch of their stock and not really care if it goes up or down. Anyway, same with folks that have done that with Tesla. Doesn't have too big of a short float, so not a lot of people are getting in front of this powerhouse here. But I would imagine that after today, if this 10% plus move upholds, you'll see the short float increase, because I don't think it can honestly keep that level of performance up. All right, let's go over and take a look at the Schwab screen. I've got some other fitness names for you that you will know, and it's kind of interesting because you have Peloton in the upper left here, and you have this, equipment maker that is changing high tech, high expensive subscription base. You know, you got to buy the bike and then you pay for the subscriptions in addition to that. And then look who's been left for dead. Oh my goodness, the Fitbit that is largely, I mean, you just can't touch this, right? So this is in, let's see, going into the year, here's 2000 starting, you know, it's basically, it got hit a little bit back in March, but hasn't really recovered at all, just straight lining. And I know they have new Fitbit models out there, fantastic. I don't think people use those anymore unless you are a, you know, follower or a true believer, because the Apple Watch has largely replaced the Fitbit. So Apple stock on fire, Fitbit stock left for dead. When I say things are left for dead or a dinosaur company, Fitbit squarely fits into that. Another company, though, that is trying to reinvent itself is Nautilus. They also come out with where they're making money is not just their equipment, but the subscriptions, where you have a personal trainer through video that can now talk you through your workouts. So by paying for that, they have recovered. This stock chart looks, you know, when you look at where it was down in November, I mean, down $1.30, and then in March kind of retested those buck and change, and now it's up to 15. So that's kind of crazy. If we do have another pandemic that rolls through, I will have my eye more so on this space than I did before. Did not catch this thesis early enough. So you have equipment makers, you know, the new equipment makers doing well. The Fitbit kind of left for dead. PLNT is Planet Fitness. So again, they had to close doors. Some of them are back open to some capacity. So obviously they're not going to return anytime soon. However, this would be something that we might, once there's a vaccine, you're going to see this reset higher. It would either be a day trade or a swing trade. I would not want to hold a fitness joint as far as a long-term hold. However, if you were going to go best of breed in the entire space, not just equipment, but clothing as well, Nike's your best of breed. So hit really hard, obviously, and a good entry point into March, and then obviously good bounce and then straight march higher from there. No problems with Nike. That's kind of like an Apple. You throw it in the portfolio and you just hold it. If you want to hold all of these names, you can go into, and more, you can go into BFIT, which is the index fund, which kind of muted performance and low trading, which means they're low volume. So when you can tell just physically looking at the chart, there's just not a whole lot of people going in and out of this. So since there isn't, it's just going to kind of track whatever the underlying stocks are going to do. The issue that I have with index funds in general, which I think is highlighted here, is you're going to have the bad, i.e. Fitbit and Planet Fitness, in with the good, which are the three on the left here. So, you know, if you want it all good and bad, you can take this, but I think really you can pick best of breed out. And here, and the only issues with, you know, Peloton being what I would call grossly overvalued. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some long and short names. I have my notes here. I have far more longs than shorts, so we're going to start with those. Again, if you have a long or short idea, throw it into the chat. Pretty quiet out there this morning. So throw your ideas in there, and I'll take a look at it, and we'll go from there. So first one is Peloton. So here's what you can see. 87 all the way up to 90, touched over 100 earlier. New price target up to 120. I don't put a lot of stock in that, but it is kind of the news of the day, if you will. So we'll keep it on there. I think it's probably a little too high to be able to take as a trade. Next one is Oracle. Also beat earnings, so let's take a look. Plenty of volume, 57 up to 60. So closed down here, went all the way up to there. Let's take a look at where the stock has been. Again, pretty strong name, so I do like taking strong names long. So really no problem with how Oracle is setting up here. So put that down as kind of my number one long that I had from my notes earlier. Zumiez is a lesser known name, software name. We'll see if it's got the volume. It does not have the volume. It is gapping up off of earnings, kind of like that chart. But I'll put volume in the notes. That would be a delayed play. We'd have to keep an eye on that. Domino's Pizza, again, took an upgrade. See if it's moving the no volume there, and it is moving up, but again, not enough. Here's been interesting, though. All the way up to 420. It's kind of sold down recently. So, yeah, I think that's a good move, good entry point if you're looking into the name long. All right, CNDT, which I don't know what it is moving up on guidance. Smaller price point, which can be good or bad. It's got plenty of room to run. It's up at 367. I don't know. I kind of like that. We'll keep an eye on it. If you're looking for something smaller. All right. Let's see. Kodak plus 12. Again, you know, they got the big contract and then they lost the contract and the stock crashed. So when you look at this chart, yep, that's what you do when you get a contract. And then this is how it works out if you cheated and a bunch of people, insiders bought the stock and they get busted for it. Then it comes right back down to $5. So those people lost, you know, like 90%. And when you get investigated, you saw us a little bit in Wall Street, the movie from back in the 80s. As soon as you go under investigation, your assets get frozen. So while everybody else gets to bail when we start hearing things of, hey, how did all the insiders make a ton of money in this? Yeah, they're taking the full ride all the way down. So to the tune of, depending on when they bought it, I guess. But certainly anybody loaded up here has been taking a bath in that name. So we'll take a look at it. Don't really see a day trade there going into that. Don't know about Daco Energy, if that's pronounced right. Low volume, so that's off the list. And then our pharma play of the day. There's several of these. I'm going to stop throwing them up there because I don't really know the best. But there's one that I liked out of about 5 names that's gapping up 6% right now. Low on volume, but I do like the move and like the fact that it was up here after earnings. So it's kind of sold off after earnings. Now it's gapping back up. I like where this was set up for a long, even though I don't know exactly what they do. All right, on the short side, we'll take a look at AMRS. This is a legal challenge that came in. They're down quite a bit off of this, and I don't really like the price point, but low volume, low price point, $3 and going down all the way to $2.85. So here's where we sit off of the $3. Again, legal investigation. See what we can pull out of. Come on, it's not scrolling there. There's the lawsuit against them. So we shall see. BioNTech shares dropped as well. Well, let's take a look at that right now. BNTX. Did not see that earlier. And doesn't look like it's true. So I don't know where the headline came from. All right, so AMRS is my #1 short. Again, it's going to be tricky because of that price point and low volume. But we'll see if we can find something better. S-Pro. These are all secondary offering plays. These are tough. So $11 down to $9.86. So here's where we are. Again, these are all secondary, so largely priced in. MNRL, that's an Austin-based firm. Brigham Minerals, again, down to $8.25, largely priced in though, just due to secondary offering. But we'll cycle through these and see if there's anything to do with them. All right, QTNT. Quotient Limited does have the volume. There it is. 482, 471, gapping down a little bit. See if we can find a offering at 425. So that's why it's gapping down. As a whole bunch of shares are coming in at 425. Again, they got to file these things months or weeks in advance, maybe over a month in advance. So that's why it's a little bit off from where the stock is now. And stocks tend to go down and find that price on the day. So that's why that's what we've got going on there. Let's see, STSA got a downgrade. Pharma name 562 to 537, plenty of volume. So this is kind of heart of the envelope stuff for us. So 562, goodness, look at that stock fell off a cliff. Literal cliff. All right, up at 32, wow. 24, what was this? Just a couple of days ago, it fell from 24 to 4. I don't think we can touch this. It'll be fun to watch, but I can't hop into this because goodness, what took it down 80% in a day? I'm not even going to get into that. Let's see. And then NKLA, that short report wasn't affecting it when I looked at it about 20 minutes ago. So let's see, 37 to 36.5. Going to give you the full history here. Again, this was our play yesterday, and it worked right out of the gate. Moll's legal action, that's again would be a return suit. This is the short seller's allegations. Legal action. 37 to 36. So it's not gapping down too much. We'll keep an eye on it. We may switch to it. I hate taking things 2 days in a row because it's tough. That seems like it's tough for them to work in that case. All right. There that is, though. 3 million shares, top of the volume board. Peloton we're looking at. That checks. Kodak only up 6% now. They were up 12 earlier. ITCI, let's check that out. Gapping down from 31 to 28. Raising equity, secondary offering. So at 30, that's why that's gapping down. All right. So nothing there to take a look at. 3 minutes to go. Talked about DQ being low volume. There's Peloton again. ITCI, not going to touch. Low volume across the board there. Kodak NLS up 6%. We talked about them this morning. All right, we'll take a look at it. All right, and let's go last one. Churchill, oh, I just saw this. Churchill, this is another company we talked about is CCX and CCXX. Again, we think that's Topgolf. We'd love to hear that announcement to verify that. Zumiez, low volume. Overstock moving up. Don't have any news on that, but another one I like, go STK, just put it in the notes. All right, let's go ahead and set up our screens. Going to share you back out to TD Ameritrade, where we'll set up our 4 screens. That's coming to you now, and this is what it'll look like. Again, off the left, we have SPY. We're going to go long, long, short. Number 1 long is Oracle. So we can see it there in a nice steady trend up. And then next one we're going to take a look at is the CNDT. Let's thinly trade. Let's see if MNOV, that's our pharma play, has much more volume. It doesn't. So we're going to look at, we'll look at AMRS. So we're going to go long on the left in Oracle and then short. So it'll be AMRS. That's the legal issue company. As we back this out and kind of take a look at that chart, that's where you can see there. And then on the right screen will be a short. Let's take a look at, let's watch NKLA. Coming out of that short report. So maybe able to, just like yesterday, get in and get out of it very quickly. So there's kind of the zoom out view. All right, going back to 1 minute on these charts. 1 minute here. All right, setting up for play of the day. We have 30 seconds to the open. We have 4 screens in front of us. On the left side, we have the SPY on a 1 minute chart so we can watch the market trends as the market opens. We have 1 long here on the left. Again, we're looking at Oracle long after beating earnings. They're already up about 10% though, so not really optimal, but that's where we're looking at long. Short is AMRS. Again, low price, low point there, so expect like a 5-cent stop for a legal issue. And then NKLA, there's the market open, a short seller that came in and is selling the stock. So we shall see kind of like this move out of NKLA here. 600,000 shares, man. 180,000 shares here, down 13%. This one's heart of the envelope now. I'd have to see NKLA back up before I could take it. All right, this just fell 5%, 27, 27, 30, 26. Man, not in any of these yet. Both these shorts fell too far too fast, so we'll have to keep an eye on them. Don't really like this, but if Oracle settles down, when we can get it in around 60-40 or so with a 40-cent stop, maybe a 50-cent stop. So I'm just putting a little note out here for myself. Just if we can get it back down to that level, I would like it before we go long. All right, looking at the market overall, Dow's up over 0.5%, NASDAQ up at 1%, and S&P up 0.2%. All right, not in any of these yet, just kind of watch them. All right, that has the volume now. We'll keep a look at this. All right, could we take Nikola here? I don't think so. I think the money has been made. We'll leave it up there though. Switching off of AMRS, let me look at another couple shorts. MNRL, not really moving. S-Pro is a secondary. STSA was a delayed entry due to a downgrade. Again, this would be short. You can see the -6% up here. I do kind of like the setup here. All right, let's look at STRA. We'll go 522. If it hits it on the downside, it'll be a 10-cent stop, which is going to be a little bit close. And again, what I like when I say I like the setup, the nice long bar short covering here, then the next green bar up. So this is now red, and it looks smaller than the other two. So again, there's 522. We're in the trade. So take it there, and we're going with a 10-cent stop up to 532. So there's our stop and out point. I'll draw an arrow so everybody is square on which way we're taking it. And again, this was on a downgrade story. So at 522, 512 would be your first R. 502 would be your second R. And then we'll draw the third R once it comes into play. So zoom here a little bit so you can still see the arrow and watch that. So we're in the middle trade, STSA short. Nikola backed up almost, that's $1 right there. What's going on in the overall market here? Well, about where we opened, so we'll see. All right, our trade's doing well. We're down at a R1.5. Do have some selling in the market that's going to help us. Oracle can't take long here. It would have to come down into this, what I have drawn out here at the 640 level before I would even consider taking it long. Nikola, again, we shorted it yesterday and it worked. I just don't think I could take it here with this congestion. You literally would have to wait for it to come down to 34.40, and then you would have to take almost $1 stop. That means $3 to the downside. I don't like that at all. Ooh, nice flip in Oracle there. All right, so we're getting rid of Nikola. We're going to bail on that. We're going to look at some other names. Let's look at the rest of the short names. We'll check back to AMRS, which again was the first short name we looked at. And that is the legal issue. 274, that's 22 cents. Just backing out a little. So it was at 326, went all the way down to 232. That would be another 20-cent fall. I love this, but I can't take it. It's gone too far too fast. That's a 10% move there. It's 20% off. I like that it's facing legal issues. That's That's great for a short, but can't take it. Either had to take it out of the gate or just say you missed it on AMR. So I will say I missed it. Let's see, QTNT was another one that was selling off down. See what, it's actually in the green now. So that would not have worked. And then NKLA we just looked at. So let's look at some long names now. So again, Oracle, if it hits down to 640, that's where I would consider looking at it back long. So we'll see if it hits it, and if so, we'll take a look and see if we want to take another trade. We're in this trade. You can see the down arrow. We took it here at 522. Our stop point's 532, and that's 10 cents. So each R unit, depending on how many shares you took, we're looking for 3R, which is down here at 490, 492 or so. All right, that's flipped, so can't do QTNT. Let's start looking long. I think we looked at Peloton. Let's bring it up there again. Woo. Peloton was up 11% at the open. Look how far it sold off. That could be profit taking. This does look like a long entry. I'm not going to touch it long on a day, especially once I see this start going on over here. All right, Oracle did come all the way back down to where I wanted it to. Overall, market's up about 0.25% now. We'll have to watch it. I'm not, I would need to see some reversal out of the market before I'm going to take this back higher, even though I do like it. So that's why I like it. I wanted it down in here so it can turn around and run back up here. It's such a good name. I do want to take it, but it's going to need a return here. All right, if we got in at 660, it would be a 60-cent stop down to 60. All right, we'll go long Oracle at 660 is what we're going to wait for long. Again, we like the dojis that are down here. That means it keeps selling off. We might even take it at a lower point. Market finally broke that sell-off string, so let's go 650 long with a 50-cent stop down to 60. So again, just making a note for myself there. 650. All right, what's going on? Peloton is selling off, so we aren't worried about that. We're up an R in our trade here with STSA. Come on. Again, just looking hard at an entry here on Oracle. I think we're going to get one. I know it's getting kind of late in the day. We're 8 minutes into this. So again, still looking at 650. If it comes up to 650, we can take it. Does not appear to be cooperating. All right, we're going to look over here, so I have to stop staring at that. Domino's Pizza was another name we're looking at long. Nice pop up in Domino's. It doesn't trade after hours, so a little bit of a sell off there, but still nice, nice gap up. All right, I'm looking at, it's up 4.7% off an earnings beat. So the whole thesis is there, and it's down in the below the congestion area. So taking this long would be 620 with a 50-cent stop. 620, we're taking it long. I think it's going to hit right here. Nope, not yet. All right, we're up an R in this trade. Here you can see the arrow. So this is our entry point. So like that trade, man, not a lot of love for Oracle. All right, I'm gonna stop dorking with it. We'll miss that. This will just be our one trade of the day. Again, backing this out just a little bit so you can see it while I'm talking. And we will go over here and take a look at what else is going on in the markets. So here's the 5-day and the SPY. We're looking over here at this left-hand column. Overall, the market's between 1/3 and 0.5% in the green. So DraftKings has been on fire, up 2.5% today. All right, Clickstream, penny stocks up a little bit. Palo Alto, Workhorse, you know that's a name I like. 10-Cent Holdings, Baba, Aries Capital, all those are good names. And you got a whole board full of green here. That's always nice. Let's see what's on the way down. A couple of psychedelic names taking it pretty hard. Nikola down 10% now. Darn it. That would have worked for our, again now for the trade. I just want to check that real quick since it's down so far. Yeah, that was a nice sell-off. Remember, we watched it, excuse me, go all the way back up to here. We said we'd have to take it down at 34, and it did. It broke down below that. So put the SPY back in there. All right, let's see. MNRL is another name we looked at. Short, Northwest Bio selling off a little bit. It's been on fire, no worries. And really not a whole lot of red. So not too concerned about the market. We'll see. Not concerned now. We'll see how it holds out through the day. All right, how's our trade doing? We backed all the way up to there. Didn't even see that, but we're still in it because we're where we had our stop. So generally when something backs up and you're in a trade and it backs all the way up and it doesn't hit it and then it starts back down again, that's like the golden ticket because it tried to knock you out and it couldn't, and then it's back down in here. And I like this trade. You can hold this all day. I'm not worried at all about this thing going back up. All right, let's set up for questions of the day. No questions in the chat or the Q&A. So the question of the day, I'll just leave this chart up while we're talking about the question of the day, but I am looking at another screen. And getting set up here. All right, today's question of the day is, what is a blank check company? You've heard a lot of this in the news recently, and it's kind of becoming like if all the cool kids are doing it. And really what you're doing with a blank check company is you're taking another path to an IPO, which is initial public offering of a company. So taking a company public. Normally through the IPO process, there's discussions with investment banks, and there's a big, they agree to a share price range. They agree to the number of shares. They hand that over to the investment banks, and then they take that, and then they go out on a roadshow. They sell all these shares, and just taking a break and looking at our day trade here for a second. Look at this. So there you're out, 492. You're out at the 3R point. So again, that worked. So very nice looking trade there. All right, back to the blank check companies. So again, that's where you are raising the money ahead of time and then allocating those funds to buying a company and then switching the ticker to a new ticker, and then it's an IPO that way. So there's still some risk, but it's a lot cleaner and it's a lot less expensive. You don't have to pay these investment banks to go out and take your company on the road, sort of thing, and trying to sell it. So when you're investing in a blank check company, let's talk about some of the options that have been out there. Virgin Galactic was a blank check company. It was also, we'll talk about the other name for it, which is Special Purpose Acquisition Company. But Virgin Galactic went first, so they were the they've been doing blank check things for years, but it's the first one recently to kind of get a lot of popularity. And the next one was DraftKings, which we're in. We love DraftKings. Was under a different ticker, and then it basically took a double since it opened, or a triple actually, up 200%. And then NKLA, most recently, Nikola, the EV truck maker, was a special purpose acquisition company that, again, came out of the blank check. The money was raised ahead of time. They bought the company and then IPO'd it that way. The ones that are kind of on the radar scope, if you will, for going forward is there's Lancadia Holding, which is LCA, which is the owner of the Houston Rockets, again, is taking that public as a golden nugget online gaming. So a lot of money to be made there, if you believe how much DraftKings has taken off, and golden nugget online gaming taken off behind that. We don't know when the ticker will switch. I have to think it's soon because that has marched up kind of steadily. And then the last one, CCX, is a name we're in. Again, this is Churchill Capital 2. There's several CCs and then different tickers that are out there, but CCX is specifically the one that is rumored that they're going to take Topgolf public. And again, if you look at if you've been to a Topgolf, obviously everything is perfect for them in a non-COVID environment, right? So it's a social gathering place. You can have conferences there. You can host business parties there, and you can also golf there. It's kind of like almost the extra thing is, oh, by the way, it's next to a driving range. So again, when you're looking at your clientele that golf, you're looking at a higher demographic of income, that sort of thing. So kind of a perfect place from everything from business conference to date night to folks that want to go get a few swings in over lunch. So those are the special purpose acquisition companies, the blank check companies. So I think this is a wave of the future. If you kind of look, there was a note on, you're not looking at this page, I am, but there's a note that 20% is what the owners keep. And then they basically take 80% of the shares public. So pretty cool. And they aren't having to pay the investment banks through the nose to go out there and market their shares. They're kind of doing it on their own. So it's kind of like taking their own risk, and they get rewarded handsomely for it. So that's all I've got for the blank check stuff. Let's go back and check our trade. Still time to get out of this trade. If you were hanging out for more, I'd go ahead and get out and call it a day. Again, hanging out below the 3R point. So very nice. It went down to, let's see, we were in here at 522. 482 would have been 4R, so about 4.5R. Tough to get out right at the exact bottom, right? But certainly when it backed up here, you'd been out either right away when you hit your limit, or if you held out for a little bit more because it was falling pretty fast, probably out and around the 3.5R range. So nice trade for today, nice trade yesterday. So reviewing the week, down 1R on Tuesday, 1R Wednesday, 3R yesterday, up 3R yesterday, and up 3R today. So with that, let's close out for the day. Thanks again for joining me, and we will see all of you guys on a Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye.